Howdy YouTube, welcome back to another Members First Deck profile. This week we have Purple Hybrid for you guys. I actually forgot to do the members poll last week because things were just kind of so crazy with all the stuff happening, and then I got to commentate on the EU Regional hosted by Raid and Trade with Risu, which that was really awesome. And this weekend was kind of just a wipe. I was up for like 40 hours because I didn't want to mess up my sleep schedule. So to our members, sorry about that. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do this for you guys this week. A couple of things, though, for people that are watching this video when it goes public. Think about becoming a member. If you become a member, you get access to our weekly series called Deck Check, where me and one of the other Hyper Coliseum boys go over some recent topping decks from JP and NA. Those go up every Friday, and then we have our members first deck profiles that go up every Monday and then go public on Wednesdays. And if you're seeing this in general, if you don't want to become a member, that's cool. It's totally optional. It's just another way to support our boys on the channel. But if, otherwise, if you're watching these videos a lot and you keep finding yourself coming back and you're not already subscribed, think about becoming a subscriber. And if you enjoy this video, please drop a like. So that's going to be it from me. I don't know if I missed anything. I'm very tired, but it should be fine. Let's go ahead. Let's jump into the deck profile here. So, starting off with Digitama, we run 4 copies of the old faithful BT. My brain's forgetting the number. Let me pull it up. BT3 Daramon. I almost said BT7. I don't know why. Anyways, BT3 Demimera. Just classic draw and trash one great egg. And then we are also running 1 copy of the BT16 Cupimon, who is just on deletion. By trashing 1 card in your hand, gain a memory. So just both of these eggs just help us kind of, well, 1 egg just helps us cycle a bit more, but both of them help us set up our trash, which, is pretty good. We have a decent amount of cards that we do want to put into the trash to utilize them more effectively. Moving on from that, we'll move on to the rookies. So pretty easy rookie lineup here. We just run 4 BT3 Gazimon, who just all turns your opponent can't gain memory, except with Tamer effects. So just completely turns off other options. It can help shut off a lot of decks that like to gain memory, like Lord Knight, for example. They really struggle with this. Can also help with Mirage, although that's a bit harder because usually they can just bounce you before they actually gain the memory. But there is times where you can get enough rookies on board to still kind of mess them up a little bit. Definitely helps against Galaxy Mirage engines because you can stop Lunamon engines and stuff like that. Just memory floodgating right now is very, very powerful. As is playing by effects floodgating. So something else to keep in mind if you want to do a different base. I'm running purple base personally because it just feels more comfortable for me and I like the consistency with it, but it's obviously up to you what you want to do. Purple Hybrid's probably one of the most customizable decks in the card game right now with how you want to build it. There's so many different things you can do, and I'm sure you'll probably already see a few different things on my list as we go through. But moving on from there, we run, again, standard Uko package, 4 BT16 Uko, better cycle, better aggression, and 1 promo Uko. We just want to have the extra memory sometimes, and again, better cycle, or better aggression rather, not really cycle, but still good. Moving on from our level 3s, we'll move on to level 4s here. Move on to our hybrid package. So as you can see, we're running 4 Duskmon. This card is correct, so he is our brand new sort of like kind of key piece for this deck. So on play when Digivolving, which is notable for the on play part, until the end of your opponent's turn, change one of the Digimon or Tamers into a color other than white, which is really good. So that means unless they're using alternate evolution cost text to evo up their line, you can lock people out of being able to Digi-evolve their Digimon, and this can really, really hurt them. And then has 1 attacking one of your Digimon or Tamers may Digivolve into a level 4 card, keep that in mind, level 4, with the hybrid trait in the trash with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. And it doesn't ignore Digivolution requirements, so you can't use this to evo into like a Lowy. You can't use it to evo into another Duskmon, yada yada. It has to go into specifically the next boy we'll be talking about. But before we go there, our Inheritor effect is on deletion. You may play 1 Tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your trash without paying the cost. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. We can play any Tamer. It doesn't have to have Inheritor effects. So we can play our Memsetter mats that we run in this deck, as you can see in the list. But we'll get there. So that's Duskmon. Fantastic card, really, really good. Oftentimes, combo you will be doing is with this next card, which is Velgarmon from BT18. Same set as Dusk. On play, when Digivolving, for each color among your opponent's Digimon and Tamers, trash top card of both players' decks. Then this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP for each card trashed by this effect for the turn. Keep in mind that includes both your opponent's cards that they trash and your cards that you trash, because you're milling both of your both decks. So if you mill 6, you're going to gain 6 KDP, right? So it means 3 from your opponent, 3 from yourself. So something to keep in mind. I know some people thought like, oh, it's only your opponent's trash, yada yada, or whatever. It's every card that's trash from both you and your opponents. And then has end of attack by deleting 1 level 4 or lower purple Digimon. Delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So this effect you can actually use in very interesting ways. So you can delete any level 4 or lower purple Digimon, right? You can delete Velgramon himself with, Duskmon is on deletion inheritable, which is really nice. Or you can delete an opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon if they're purple and you made them purple with Duskmon. So oftentimes one of your main combos is you're going to swing Dusk and then you use one attacking effect to Evo into Velgar from trash. On Evo, you'll mill a number of cards based on how many colors are on your opponent's side of the board between the Digimon and the Tamers. You gain the DP. Hopefully survive the check, because oftentimes it's really easy to climb to like 11 or 13k with Velgramon. Especially with some decks, you can get all the way up to like 15. It gets crazy. And then end of attack, you can choose to, if let's say you made your opponent's, I don't know, Mushroomon. I don't know why that's the guy I choose. That's what my brain goes. A purple Digimon. You can pop him and then delete all your opponent's lowest level Digimon on the board. It's very, very helpful. It's very, very good. So he can be like a pseudo board wipe in a lot of instances, and he can really do a lot of damage and can deal with boss monsters. And it's all while dealing your aggression as well, right? And on top of that, too, it has an inheritable of retaliation, which can be really nice when paired with our level 5 Rihimon. But very good card, very powerful combo. And it doesn't sound like that much like on paper, I think. I mean, maybe it does to you. To me, initially, I was like, okay, this seems pretty good. But when you're playing it, it is aggressive. It is very, very hard for your opponent to get around, unless they just have like flat deletion protection. But oftentimes there's so many other like ways we can kind of get around that in this deck too, that doesn't even really matter. And the retaliation inheritable also can come up very, very nicely if we do, like end our attack, we clear our opponent's board, and we're just sitting on this. We can just like Evo Rihimon or something out, yada yada, and then just sit there with retail so they can't just swing into the sack to clear it. A very good card, very awesome combo, very fun to do, and there's lots of like different like little like nuanced ways you can kind of like trickle your way through it. Moving on from that, we run 3 copies of Loimon from BT18, who has when Digivolving, you just draw 1, trash 1. Very, very good, nice. Very, very good, nice. Very good for cycle. My brain's a little mush, sorry. And then has 1 attacking one of your Digimon or Tamers. And keep in mind, one of your Digimon or Tamers, doesn't have to be him, can be anything. Can Digivolve into a purple or yellow Digimon card with a hybrid trait in your trash. So keep in mind, he does not reduce the evolution cost. He just lets something else Digivolve while he is swinging. So it can kind of come up in a couple of weird ways. Oftentimes you're probably going to use him just to Evo himself into like a Kaiser Leo, or Evo him to a Rihimon. But there's not too much else that really goes on there. It can just kind of be kind of neat to kind of help you set up some stuff if you want to maybe resolve some when Digivolving effects. When you go up, and you don't want to maybe go over Loimon, but usually you're going to want to, because you want the all turns inheritable live while you're swinging into security, which the inherit effect of all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effects, you may play 1 Tamer card with inherited effects from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. So it's really good. You can spit your Tamer back out, and this deck, if you play it, you'll find you have very, very good Tamer recursion and cycle. Like, you almost always will have your Tamers back, and it lets you just maintain aggression so much better, because you don't ever really feel like you're risking your Tamers, right? Like, and even if they get deleted, the cool thing about Purple Hybrid, what makes it so much better than other hybrid decks outside of like Red Hybrid, is that you're able to, even if you lose your Tamers, they're not gone in this deck by any means. Like, unless they get bottom decked, you can recur them very easily from trash, super, super easily with so many different effects. But moving up from Loey onto Kaiser Leo here. From BT18 has retaliation just inherently, and then on play and when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Just nice, simple effect. Keep in mind, he goes over Loimon for a cost of 1 or Koichi for a cost of 3. And something to keep in mind too, all these Tamers, all these hybrids rather, while they have higher evolution costs over Digimon or just generic Tamers, they can Evo over Koichi for 2, both Dusk and Loey in that respect. And then Velgar can Evo over Koichi for 3, along with Kaiser being able to Evo for 3, like I said. So just something to keep in mind. It's very, very nice. So your Evo costs aren't that much. And it's cool. It's fun. It's easy peasy. And then Kaiser Leo also just has retals and inheritable. So, your level 5s are almost always going to have retaliation no matter which line you kind of go up most of the time. If you, have Velgar or Kaiser in there. So it's helpful. It's nice. It can make it difficult to deal with our board states. Moving on from 4s, move on to 5s. So we run 1 copy of our old faithful BT7 Jet Selfie that is restricted to 1, who can evo for a cost of 1, by the way. Speaking of 1s. So long as there's a Tamer in the sources of what it would digivolve into. So this can evo over your Loimon and your Kaiser Leo very easily. And that 1 cost just to, on evo, just for if you have a card with hybrid in traits and your Digivolution cards, which you you always will have hybrid in traits, you'll recover 1. That's good. It just helps us stay alive a bit longer, and it works with some of our top end as well. Most of our top end, I should say. Just good card just to help us stay alive a bit longer. That's really her main reason for being there, and also being a cheap way to kind of bridge up into like a Venus if we need to, which we'll get to Venus stuff. Which, I mean, if you've been playing the card game for a while, you know Venus is a very powerful card. And then moving on from her, we run 4 copies of BT18 Rihimon. This is probably my most kind of like me choice. I know some people run like 3 or even 2 Rihi to have more room for other options or other ace cards and stuff like that, or the Tamers, etc. I personally think Rihi is just an amazing card, and I don't mind just sitting on him for a while, especially with ace threat in this deck. So Rihi just has jamming inherently. Has the neat effect of hand main from your hand main effect by placing 1 Loey and Kaiser Leo from your trash under one of your purple or yellow Tamers. That Tamer digivolves into this card for a Digivolution cost of 3, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. So you can just evo over your Koichis or even your Mat with this guy for a cost of 3, just by tucking Loey and Kaiser Leo, which is very easy to get into our trash. And then has jamming inherently, which is really, really nice. Just means that like jamming keyword on this is just so random. It didn't need to be there, but it's really powerful. And then when digivolving, you may play 1 Tamer card with inherited effects from your trash without paying the cost. So this one specifically only plays inherited effect Tamer, so we can't play Mats out. But if we do for some reason lose a Tamer, if it gets deleted or something like that, he does help us just spit them back out onto the board. And then has the very, very powerful inheritable of when attacking once per turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4,000 DP for the turn when attacking. While it's only once per turn, I mean, you don't really have a way to restand in this deck really anyways, outside of, there's word purple ways to restand, but you know what I mean. But he's just strong. Minus 4K does delete a lot of level 4 or lower Digimon at this point. Like, think of all all the Imperial champions. They're all 4K for the most part, unless they're like one of their armor forms. But the rookies, this helps you clear floodgates. It's very nice. It's very good. And also just can lower that DP threshold that you need to maybe swing over other bodies, which can be very, very important with some of our top end. But that's Rihi. That's it for our level 5s. Moving on to our level 6s. So here's where you're probably going to see the most sort of like customization in this deck. Now, there's a few cards that have just kind of become staples because they are just like that good into the current meta right now, but this top end can very easily change depending on the meta that we move into. So starting off, I run 1 copy of Valkyries, who is from BT16, just has on play when digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon get minus 5,000 DP for the turn, so it's very good as a board wipe. This one is, I've honestly thought about just taking this out for another Shadow Seraphi, because Shadow Seraphi Ace is just so cracked right now, but the board wipe can be nice, and the minus 5K can come up. Even if we don't have blocker, right? Just making them smaller bodies, if they don't have jamming swinging into security, can really, really risk their stacks. And if they swing into you, like say they try to swing into Rihi and you don't have retail on it, this can just make it so they go, oh, I'm going to lose this, this swing unless I am like, basically you're not going to trade, and you're going to delete their Digimon when they're swinging into you unless they are like 17K or higher. At the time of the swing, because you'll minus 5K on them when you swing, unless they can't be DP reduced, but that's a different issue. And then all turns once per turn, when a card is removed from a security stack, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or lower. If this effect didn't delete, this Digimon gets stack +1 until the end of your turn. So this can also be really nice, just for extra aggression. So if we do Valkyries blow up a board, stop them from doing something, we can very easily swing into security on the following turn. And if for some reason, there's nothing that's 8,000 or lower to delete, we can go ahead and just get an extra check for more aggression. And keep in mind too, anyone if they have Digimon that are like 12K or lower, like Mirage, for example, who usually sits at 12K, when you swing into security, if you don't get blast aced, you can use Rihi's, or actually even if you do get blast aced, or ace evo. Jeez, I can't talk today. Even if they ace evo, you can minus 4K off of Rihi's inheritable, and then you can pop something with 8,000 DP or lower. So you can pop things like Mirage and stuff like that if they don't ace evo. I guess even if they did AC Evo, they probably have higher DP, but you know what I mean. You can basically bring those 12,000 DP, often 10 level 6 bodies down to 8k DP, and then pop them with Valkyrie's effect when you check that security. So it's actually kind of combos really nicely. And if you don't, then you're just more aggressive. So nice card there. And then moving on from that, we run 2 copies of Venusmon. Not much else to say than Venus is strong. When Digivolving, all your opponent's Digimon gain sec -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. It actually is just a really good sort of means of stall and staying alive. And then, you know, if that's, you know, then just to add to boot, opponent's turn, your opponent's Digimon with security attack can't attack this Digimon. It can't activate when attacking and when Digivolving effects. So they can't, you know, target her for an attack unless they raid, of course. The security attack keyword in general just stops that. And then, you know, shutting off when attacking when Digivolving effects is very powerful. Moving on from that, we run 1 copy of the brand new Shadow Seraphi Ace from BT18, who just has blocker inherently, has on play when Digivolving, Digivolve 3, one of your opponent's Digimon. Now keep in mind, because it's a Digivolve 3 as a one solid keyword, you can Digivolve anywhere from 1 to 3 in there. And then all turns once per turn, when an attack target is changed, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5,000 DP. So this helps you if they try to raid into you, you can minus 5k on them. You can... when you Evo into this off of an Ace Evo, you can block and then give them minus 5k as well on top of Digivolving 3, which oftentimes after the Digivolve, you might just delete them from that. You won't even, you know, like the block won't actually go all the way through. They'll just die mid-swing. And then also just has a rule where it's counted as a 3 Great Angels card, which can come up for other decks. Not really this deck, but it is nice that it has that trait. It can also Evo over a Seraphimon for a cost of 1. Or it can Digivolve over a Sephiroth or a Mercurymon for a cost of 4. Not that that matters for this deck, but just something to keep in mind. This card just has so many different avenues of play with it, and it has so many different archetypes it can just slot into. It's a very, very powerful card. So that is it for that. Moving on from there, to round out our level 6s, this is probably my weirdest tech choice. I run 1 copy of the BT8 Creepymon. So Creepymon is honestly one of my all-time favorite cards. I initially was putting together Purple Hybrid for a friend who really likes mill decks, and Velgermon's effect meshes really well with Creepy, and you kind of just draw and trash stuff so much in this deck that you set up your trash pretty fast. So Creepy's just got, when Digivolving, trash top 2 cards of your deck for each of your opponent's Digimon in play. If you trash 4 or more cards with this effect, you may play 1 level 5 or lower purple Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So keep in mind, both our Kaiser Leo, our Velgermon, our Duskmon, they all have on-play effects that either can affect which your opponent can Evo into, or just colors on board, can mill our opponent out some more, or can just delete level 4 or lower Digimon. It's really, really nice. And then he has also the cool effect of when attacking, once per turn, for every 10 cards in your trash top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and you get plus 3k DP for the turn. So you get the plus 3k and you trash top 3 for every 10 cards that are trashed, right? So you can climb up DP pretty well, pretty quickly after you have like 20 cards in trash. And you can mill your opponent out very well, which combos well with Velger. And then on top of that too, with the minus DP from Rihi and the DP cane we get, it lets us swing over those bigger bodies. If we need to kind of like get over like a Tyrant, for example, something like that, we can very easily climb up to like 17k. Now we won't be able to minus the 4k on Tyrant, of course, but the DP climb can get there with us if the game goes long enough. So Creepy, very cool card, very fun, very, very neat, and just a little like side strategy of, you know, if the game's going kind of long, you're just not being able to get as much damage in, being able to mill out our opponent can be a very effective trait in there. So that's it for level 6s. Keep in mind, like I said, Purple Hybrid's super toolboxy, so you can kind of mix and match level 6s as much as you want. You can go with the different top ends. You can change ratios. This deck is very customizable, like I said, and player expression is very much a huge thing in this deck. Moving on to Tamers, we run 4 copies of the old BT7 Koichi, who just can play this card from security without paying his cost. On play, draw 1, trash 1, just more draw trash cycle. And then as inherited effect of on deletion, gain a memory, works really well with our Duskmon in particular, because Duskmon's inheritable is on deletion to play a Tamer. So you can get the memory first and then play the Tamer back out. It's very good. And then we run 4 copies of the brand new BT-18 Koichu, who plays some security as per usual, and then has start of your main phase by trashing 1 card with Hybrid or 10 Warriors trait in your hand, gain a memory. This just helps us set up our trash by tossing our Velgers, tossing our Kaiser Leo, sometimes tossing Rihi. It's just good card, solid boy there. And then inherit effect of when attacking once per turn, you may return 1 card with the Hybrid or 10 Warriors trait from your trash to the hand. Keep in mind, it's just as 1 card, so it doesn't have to be a Digimon. That matters more for other decks than this deck. But it's something that, you should just keep in mind with this card in general. And on top of that too, just better trash setup, more memory gain. We love that. And lets us grab back our Dusks and Kaiser Leo, or Lois rather, from trash. Those are kind of the ideal cards we want to start our combos with when we're digivolving over our Tamers. And then to round out our Tamer lineup, so those are both 4 and 4. I don't remember if I said it for the first one, but I don't think I said it for the second one. We run 2 copies of the ST16 Mat Memory Fixer, pretty standard. And then all turns when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects. By suspending this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So this can work really well. It's an all turns effect, so you can use this to actually steal turn thanks to cards like Cupimon and Demi-Meramon. When one of your Digimon are deleted to draw and trash one. If your opponent's trying to control your board, you can suspend the mat to gain extra memory, especially with Cupie too. You can gain 2 memory off of this just off having 1 mat and 1 Cupie. And on top of that too, you're drawing and trashing so many cards. Like Loimon, for example, can very easily trigger this. You get the idea. You draw and trash so many cards that Matt can just help you get more memory on your turn. This deck's super memory efficient. Moving on from our Tamers, moving into our options here, we run 3 copies of Jack Raid. Memory efficiency is huge. We gain 1 memory for every 10 cards in our trash thanks to this card, so just very helpful. And also the security effect to gain 2 memory can be a huge security bomb if they don't have a memory floodgate. You can very easily steal turn and then just swing game in your favor very quickly. I had this happen to me actually when I was playing this deck against a friend in a casual match just this past Thursday at Locals, where they had a huge board of aggression ready to go. They chipped, first check in security, they only had 1 memory left, they hit a Jack Raid, pass turn to me. I shot up to, with my Tamer setup, I think I was at 6 or 7 memory. It was insane. It was a lot. Next card, we run 2 copies of Deathslinger. So when this card would be trashed from your deck, you gain a memory. Works really well with our Creepy and Velgermon effects. And then main, just delete whenever one is level 4 or lower Digimon for every 10 cards in your trash. Add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. We very quickly, climb up in trash size here at 20 cards in trash for already deleting level 6s. It's a 4-cost option. It's really nice. Oftentimes, I kind of just use this as like a trash target if I don't see it milled from the deck, because I don't really need to control my opponent's board with option cards. But it can help against things like Tyrant and stuff like that for sure, right? Moving on from that, we run into our final card of the deck. Our final option here is Rival's Barrage. When this card gets trashed from your deck, place it in the battle area, and then you can main delay, return 1 purple Digimon card or Tamer card from your trash to the hand. It's very nice for helping us get back our hybrids if we need them, maybe our level 6s if they got knocked out of security, something like that. We can't really grab, only level 6 we can grab is Creepy, obviously, but it's good. Creepy can be kind of a huge card for this deck, so being able to grab him back from trash if we get stuck in security, something like that is nice. And then also just if you play the card, you just delete something with the highest level, which is very helpful, like against things, like I said, like Tyrant and other stuff. And especially with ace cards running around, this card oftentimes does not cost 7. Sometimes it costs 4 or even 2. And then security, just delete something with the highest level. So good card. That's the profile there. That's all the card list there. Like I said, this deck is super customizable. I love looking at purple hybrid lists because every list is different. You'll see, a lot of the same cards coming back for it, but people change up their top ends, their ratios, their option lineup, their Tamer lineup all the time. There's so many different cards you can run for this. For tech cards, just in general, I think I have a lot of like some of the more powerful ace cards you can run in this. You can always run things like Melga Ace as well, as like a level 6 to maybe steal turn and trash more cards in your hand. It works well with Matt as well. Some of the biggest, I think, changes that I see in other people's decks as opposed to mine is like their rookie lineup. Some people will run the ST16 Gabumon. You can also run other purple floodgates like Psychmon and whatnot. I just don't think like play cost reduction is really huge right now, except for like, I guess like Ancient Gar and Ancient Gray with Ancient Deity. They can reduce costs there, but Death X is starting to make a bit of a rise, so I might change this back. I'd maybe do like a 3-1 split because I just don't feel like it comes up that often, but oftentimes we just clear the board so effectively anyways, it doesn't really matter. There's plenty of other good options you can run as well. You could run things like boosts. You could run trainings and stuff like that if for like more consistency pieces. But because we were even over Tamers the entire time, trainings kind of lose their value there. Boosts are still very good. Missed memory boost, for example, to trash more cards from your deck and draw one can be very, very powerful. I just found that I gain enough memory with this deck that I don't really need it. But you know, everyone has their choices, right? Everyone has their own whatever flavor fits them best. So obviously, do whatever feels right to you. This is just an example of my build that hopefully it can give you guys somewhere to sort of start from, if anything. Or if you want to copy it 1-to-1, if you just want to fully net deck it and have some fun with it, go for it. I've had some pretty good success with it so far. Hopefully you do too. That's it for sort of tech stuff there. As for good matchups, bad matchups, you really don't have many bad matchups. I would say Hexablow is probably the hardest card to deal with for this deck because so many of your effects start by swinging, and Hexablow can kind of just shut you off. However, we have enough options to help deal with him. A lot of our ace cards and level 6s can sort of also mess him up as well. Then we, you know, there's avenues of play around that. Oftentimes I find myself controlling boards so well that they don't even have the chance to get there. But I would say that's probably one of the hardest things to deal with because they also bottom decking your Tamers is tough. Otherwise, for most things, I haven't run into too much trouble. Like I said, I think Hexablow is really just the only bad matchup I can think of off the top of my head. I haven't run into any others personally. You don't really leave much of a board state for other decks to interact with, and while that can be bad in some cases, most of the time it works out pretty well for you because a lot of cards in Digimon sometimes need to have a board to interact with to play the game, and so because you just leave their like Tamers sitting there, they don't often do anything. A lot of times you'll win the game super fast too between your low-end rookies just sort of rushing into security with all the Ukos, and also just chipping off of level 4s and constantly spitting your Tamers back out for future turns while still generating Tamer advantage every turn usually. It's very powerful. It's very fun. So that's going to be the deck. I know this ran a little bit longer. There's a lot of cards to talk about in here, a lot of newer cards and a lot of different tech choices and a lot of different choices that I'm sure everyone else will make with this deck as they sort of move forward into the meta. I don't think that this is a deck that is solved by any means. I don't think it ever will really be solved as we just get more and more support. Like if we get any generically good purple or yellow top end cards, Rihimon just sees instant value there, right? So anyways, that's the profile. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video. If you've watched this far and you haven't subscribed, please do so. And again, think about the membership stuff like that if you want to, like I went over at the beginning of the video. I'm going to go ahead and head out of here. I got to edit this and then play more Dragon Age. So you guys have a good week or weekend or whatever, you know, day, time, night, whatever, wherever you are, whenever you are in the world. Have a good one. Bye-bye.